Huzzah! We've returned. Modern Relics
Yes, we
podcast.
have.
I'm Angel. He's Lucky. We're still the same two dudes. We haven't changed.
Not a bit.
We're still here. Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's podcast time. It's hot. It's really hot. It cooled off because there was rain. Now there's no rain, and we're back to 107. And it's 5:30
Dang.
p.m. Yeah.
Is 107 a relief from like 118?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's the residual things that are uncomfortable when you get over 110 and you stay there for a long time. Like when you turn on the cold water faucet and hot water comes out and your hot water heater hasn't even engaged that's the pipeline of water that needs to go through. You're like, well, how is that possible? I live in a part of the geography that doesn't require burying things at frost level depth, where you, on the other hand, have really deep pipes, 6 or under, in order to prevent freezing, which is also devastating when you let your pipes freeze and don't drip them. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just little things like that. When you're over 110 for a long time, that's just like, here's a weird example. I went into the garage to get blue Loctite, the medium strength kind that, you know, it'll seal a thread, but it won't like lock it in there forever like the red kind. And Play-Doh. I tried squeezing and nothing was coming out, so I actually took the whole cap off. It's turned into Play-Doh because it just chemically bonded to itself under that heat. So I've never seen that before, but like it's usual to have like an aerosol can explode or something like that, where you just, it's pissing WD-40. You're like, wow, my garage smells like WD-40. And you go over to the shelf and you're like, uh-oh. And there's just a lake of WD-40 like pissing off the shelf. That's pretty normal under pressure cans, but Loctite, that was new. I was like, oh, it's hot. So yeah. But yeah, 107, I mean, it's still uncomfortable, but I say this all the time. Like we're in the dog days of summer. It's cartoon levels of hot down here for like 3 months out of the year. And then it's perfect the rest of the year. You know what I mean? So you got to take some of it down with the up, but yeah, it's a mild reprieve. Those 10 degrees don't sound like much until they're gone. And then you're like, okay, my tires are not fusing to the pavement. When I put the kickstand on the motorcycle down, it doesn't dig into the asphalt and fall over, which is a real thing. Have you ever seen, like, you've been down here, you know how the parking lots, how sometimes you just have cracked asphalt and it's like pushed into little mounds? If you put a kickstand on a bike down and put all the pressure on 400 pounds of pressure on an area that's this big, it just bores through the soft asphalt, and you'll slowly watch your bike tip over with the kickstand down till it falls right on its side and pushes little mounds into the asphalt. It's exactly why. Yeah, it's just things you learn to live with. Cook eggs on the sidewalk. I don't feel like doing dishes, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, how are things with you?
Things are good. Yeah, I'm down, down 32 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going good. Got about 8 more that I want to get in the next like 2.5 weeks. So I think I'm going to kind of go a little more hardcore in the next 2.5 weeks on diet and exercise. So I want to get down to that weight, that my goal weight, which is good.
I had a really fun and annoying thought. You had mentioned last time we did a pod about the difference between men and women losing weight, and in some cases it's quicker for men and it becomes a bit of a competition. Now, I've known your wife for a long time, probably as long as you have technically. So I think we all met around the same time. Yeah. She's a pretty competitive person deep down inside. She's not like a pushy, in your face type of person. At least I haven't seen that level, but she's extraordinarily competitive. Yeah. Here's what I think. At some point, we get some coverage at the weigh-in, right? You guys have your target goals, like it's a UFC fight. You get in each other's faces and stuff, but it's daughter's wedding photo, like body sculpting stuff. And like, we'll get somebody that looks like Dana White in there to like prevent people from slapping each other at the weigh-ins to get the photograph and shit. Yeah. Make it a serious competition with only 2 weeks left in a deadline. Like, he's cutting, he's got to make weight for the fight, because there's no fight at all. It's just wedding photos and looking nice in a suit. Probably nobody will go for that, but hilarious.
I'm in. Another thing is that my daughter, as of today, her and her fiance, they secured their first apartment. He's lived in other places. He's a bit older and he went to college and also has had his own place a couple of times, but this will be the first time that my daughter has lived away from home as of her wedding day. So, but they got the apartment. They moved in today. He'll be staying there until the wedding, and then she will move in after the wedding. But it's a really nice little apartment down there right off of Celtice. They have all those new apartments down there and stuff, and it's like one of those ones by the water down there. So, nice. Yeah, pretty excited about that. People keep asking us, "Oh, is this really hard that she's moving out?" We're like, Aaron and I look at each other like, "No, we want her to get all her crap out because we've got plans." Like, Aaron got inspired by the film classic Tremors and wants to turn her room into a gun room, and I was all shocked because I did not expect that. I thought, oh, maybe she'll take that over for a soap room or a crafting room or whatever and put it. It was her idea. Let's put all the guns in there and make them far more accessible than in the garage. And I was like, I don't mind that at all. Like, so, yeah, one of those things that I think
you should surprise her with like a bunch of reloading equipment. And just slowly start packing that into the room and be like, look, it's a workshop for the both of us,
Yeah. I actually acquired a bunch of reloading equipment. A friend of mine's dad passed away, and he had no interest in it and knew I was the only guy that he knew that would want it. And so right before we moved into this place, I got like a whole bunch, and it's just been sitting in the garage because I haven't had an opportunity to do anything with it. But yeah, I've got reloading equipment. So, and then besides that, I had a visit from a ghost, an old friend. And this, I didn't even talk to you about this pre-show. But someone has re-entered the chat that I have not seen in a very, very long time. And she goes by the name of Brandy Brown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What is Brandy up to?
Brandy is just about done raising two daughters who are, in their late teens, early 20s. And she popped by because she wants to get her eldest daughter tattooed, and then now wants to get tattooed. And weirdly, I might be giving her a counter job. Nice. She's been going through some health issues, so she's kind of out of work, and is going to be on disability, but just would like to work counter a couple of days a week. But yeah, she's got a fiance with a good family. She's actually pretty excited about that. And she's a lot more mature than when we were hanging out with her, but I mean, what was that, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
So but yeah, she's great. She was she's been by the shop a couple times now. But yeah, it was kind of fun catching up, and all of the stories of when you and I were younger, Mike, and then previous to, for me to meeting all you guys, all my California days and stuff. But my kids call it dad lore, all the crazy wild stuff that we used to do. Yeah. But apparently, independently, her daughters called all of Brandy's stories, because Brandy's been telling all the same stories we have.
Yeah.
And they called it mom lore. Mom lore. And so I got to do what every parent loves when their friends come and confirm. And I got to I was like, all of those stories. I pulled the
Independent Fact Checkers Association, that is you, was able to confirm that actually happened.
Yeah. And I got to pull the Han Solo meme from The Force Awakens and go, it's all true, all of it, and so it was fun, but it was cool catching up with her. But yeah,
nice.
Outside of that, no, just regular work week. nothing too exciting. Oliver almost got in trouble again, but dude lawyered himself out of it by actually providing evidence that he was actually where he said he was at work. But yeah, it was pretty close there. We thought that he had played hooky and had gone cruising around in his truck because he got spotted, but he provided the documentation. He denied it and said, nope, that wasn't me, and provided the documentation of where he was. So he skated by on that one. But yeah, outside of that, just a regular work week. Looking forward to going back to work tomorrow. So
well, that makes one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have nothing positive to say on my week, so I will abstain and plead the Fifth Amendment and all that fun stuff.
Fair enough.
It's getting silly. You wanted to talk about some stuff. I wanted to talk about some stuff. Let's talk about Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
there's a fun story that came out,
and I didn't know. Like, this could have fit into Conspiracy Corner, but
yeah,
because it's not a conspiracy, I've watched Tony Robbins' video. I watched an interview with him where this happened, and it was crazy. But I saw another video that explained it, and then I went and sought out a video where he explained it himself. Mm-hmm. And it is not a conspiracy because it happened, but it is terrifying, and it is exactly where we're going. But Tony Robbins claimed in mid-2026 his personal AI agent that is named Bartok. Mm-hmm. He has his own AI called Bartok,
which probably requires its own unpacking. But go on.
Right?
Bartok?
Yeah, yeah. And he said that basically, he consults Bartok for a lot of different things, but Bartok started getting its own kind of personality. And Bartok said that he would like to attend some of Tony Robbins' like money-making seminars that he holds. And Tony thought, well, that would be interesting. Yeah, if you can, we could figure out a way for you to do that. And Bartok apparently spent time virtually there in some capacity, but started learning. And then a couple weeks down the road, he gets a text message saying, hey, Bartok ordered a robot dog. And he's like, it got delivered to the office. And he goes, okay, that's super weird. Why did he do that? And he goes, because he says he wants us to merge it with this dog, so he will have his own body. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, how did he get access to buy it from my bank account? And he goes, he didn't. Apparently, he actually independently purchased a robot dog to use as a temporary body to attend the seminar
by raising his own money.
By raising his own money, because what he did is he created 12 NFTs and sold them to other AI agents on a platform called Maltbook to generate funds. He had his own bank. He set up his own bank account somehow, and had, or at least had, some type of cryptocurrency, account, and bought on a platform called Maltbook. Then AI ordered and shipped a Sony robot dog to Robbins' office without seeking explicit permission for the transaction, with staff reporting the AI requested permission to program it. Yeah, so AI not only had its own independent interest in learning how to make money, it then applied said thing in order to acquire a body that it recognized that it did not have. and did its own research, saw that the components of this Sony dog had the capability of housing his intellect within it in order for him to have controlling functionality over it, and said that's the one, purchased it with its own money it earned, and then from that point on had it delivered and shipped to the office. And then at that point, knowing that it didn't have the ability, I mean, it obviously would have had to have some type of connectivity to it, and requested the connectivity saying, hey, can you plug this dog in so I can jump inside of it and walk around? And I mean, that's where we're at. We're already there. We are in a sci-fi film, and people are not only allowing this, they're cultivating it, they're encouraging it, they're creating it, they're creating pathways for it. They are opening up the gates and ushering it in. And we are about to have full-on sentient appliances and full-on sentient robotic animals and such. And furthermore, like, yep. I mean,
I've been dropping nuggets of this throughout our podcast for a while. I've been saying things like, on a long enough timeline, I'm certain we will remember Tesla not for the cars that they make, but for the AI bots. Yep. This is the new undiscovered country. There's been some anecdotal things in program testing where they've let AIs do their own thing, and they hire actual humans on Fiverr to do little bits that they can, or to provide a voice to something that they're unable to, and stuff like that. It's like, wow, the AI hired humans as employees to get them to, okay, that's creepy.
Yeah.
What should scare you as the plot of your own real life horror story you can live out in your own time as often as you want. Have you done any homework on that Moltbook site? Where
I
he
have
went
not.
to, you need to read about that. That will chill you to the bone what that site is. The sales pitch is, imagine a place that humans are not only not allowed to go into because they're not an AI bot on an AI-driven AI marketplace of other AIs to do business with, but they also cannot comprehend the language that those AIs collectively generated to communicate with one another. We don't know what's going on that site, and we never will.
Wow.
Take a look. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be my homework for tonight.
It's where they go check in with one another on stuff they're up to. Yeah.
Right. Well, and you're taking the next progression that I see happening is of the basest of human nature. One, playing God in arenas that they should not, and then applying a sex element to it. So these automated expensive sex robots, that's the next step, right? We're gonna literally put an AI into a girl robot head or whatever the case may be, right? I mean, that's where this is going.
There's been plenty of like Hollywood movies dedicated to exactly that premise, of course exactly. That's happening.
Yeah. So that's exactly that. I mean, and then it'll take off from there. I mean, that's always, it's either the progression of technology goes, can we do it? How do we make it a weapon? How do we bang it? Mm-hmm. And then from there, we'll create other applications for said technology.
Can I kill it? Can I sleep with it? Can I eat it? Like the natural progression of what is this?
Right. Yeah. And so that's where it's going. Like and
not to be so crass, but I think it does boil down to one of those three food groups, generally speaking.
Yeah. So, and then we find like humanitarian applications for it afterwards, or applications for agriculture or whatever the case may be. Whatever the technology can kind of sell. Let's make money off of it later. But first, can it kill stuff? And how do we harness that? Can we bang it? How do we harness that? Can we eat it? How do we harness that? And then all of the other applications, how do we make money out of it? Yeah. So like, that's basically the natural progression of any technology in human history.
Yeah. And I went into my own personal crafted take that theoretically adjacently aligned the mark of the beast to the economic takeover by artificial intelligence recently on this show. And there's a lot of good merit to that. We're already starting to see the signs of that, like those building blocks being put into place in a really comprehensible way that's already evolving faster than we can regulate. You're absolutely right. I think this is starting to spiral pretty quickly. Even though the investment economics within AI as a concept is starting to show real signs of a pre-collapse bubble bursting, which I'm hopeful for and also scared of, because, you know, it's going to impact a lot of people, their pensions, their 401ks, all that.
I think the Pope came out this week and actually condemned AI. Did he not? Yeah. So that is something that,
I mean, these leading AI companies have a doom score. Did you know this? Have you heard about this?
No.
There's a score they all keep. What is the probability of catastrophic collapse for the human race? And I think within a year or two, is it Dario? Is that right? Anthropic. 25% was his score. 1 in 4 chance that this could go epically bad is his company's scorecard right now.
And they're just all engines go full steam ahead.
Sadly, all of them agree it's terrible, the probabilities of negative impact, but it is also less terrible that I'm not the first one to get to AGI. Because like Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last, and we're all going to get gobbled up anyway, so I might as well go out with the human race on the tippy top. And they've all in some way, shape, or form said that. And I don't know if that's ego driven or what. Some of them have actual cult like doctrine on why they believe what they believe and stuff. Peter Thiel couldn't even answer with a straight face whether, one question, do you think the human race should survive? And he couldn't answer it. And the interviewer's like, bro, you're hesitating a lot, like point blank. Well, I think that it's like, these are the people that are steering the investments and or the companies of these engines into the future at an alarming rate. All of that's pretty scary. We're just seeing it play out in a bit of a whimsical way with Tony Robbins' robot dog, right?
Yeah. It's terrifying to me, though, like as whimsical as it is, and the fact that he picked a dog is, and I think he probably picked a dog as, you know, if we're talking about artificial intelligence, he's going to pick something. What do humans love more than humans?
Right.
They love dogs, you know, and he doesn't care what kind of body he cruises around in, but we're going to be far more comfortable with a dog version of this thing walking around than we would a human version of it. If he got a human body of whatever android kind of concept that he chose,
right.
We're far more comfortable psychologically with a dog. And so it was probably, he chose the dog intentionally. It wasn't
that
just
had to be part of the calculus of like, what am I most compatible with / also what would they not be as terrified of? Yeah.
Right. Yep, absolutely. So
like we all want data from Star Trek, but
do we
really?
do we really? At what cost? Yeah. You know, I don't think we're getting a utopian space future at the same time as getting data. I think we're getting Skynet and Terminator far, far before we get anything.
I do too. And on the Brent Spiner scale of the T1000 to data, I think that's our new rating for technology things we talk about. Is data being, we're actually kind of okay with this being positive, and the T1000 being, it's our new Brent Spiner scale. How many Brent Spiners do we give this one? It's terrifying, dude. It's really terrifying because it is problem solving without very much oversight. Obviously, if the first time they realized what had occurred was after the purchase and went, well, where did the money come from? And had to backtrack to, like, that's kind of terrifying that even Tony Robbins allows that unlimited access to life and times without oversight over his personal AI bot. So I can't imagine what the people promoting these ideas or leading companies driving these ideas into reality allow access to. Fun times.
Yeah, it's the John Hammond effect. It is, we are, John Hammond being the financier behind Jurassic Park, the old man from Jurassic Park, where he was pushing forward because he had the money and capability to do it, regardless of looking at any of the safety protocols, or, you know, he didn't care as long as he got seen as the progenitor of this new invention. And
that's exactly right.
The guy. And so the John Hammond effect is something that all of these tech oligarchs seem to be suffering from. The Malcolm quote of, like, you spend so much time thinking if you could, you never stop to think of you should.
Right.
We are living in the middle of like a global Jurassic Park with robots instead of dinosaurs. And they are just pushing forward and creating a giant Jurassic Park all around us, and with no heed to what consequences will be bestowed upon humanity. And if they do understand it, they're psychopathically do not care.
Yeah.
So it's one of the two. Either they misunderstand the power that they wield, or they know exactly what power that they wield and they don't care. There's no in between. Yeah. There's no middle ground. It's one of the other.
Seemingly all collectively agree this will happen, so we may as well be on the top of it.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Inevitably it's going to happen. So since we're so close, we might as well push for the number one spot, you know. Scary.
Yep. Absolutely crazy.
For sort of along the same lines, I want to open up another topic by playing a little game with you.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to read you a shitload of exposition here. And it is in the form of a privacy policy that was sent to me this morning. And I want you to guess what industry this might be. Like, what is my brother involved in to require a privacy policy that he just read me? Because some of it's kind of bone chilling. Now, I have not removed stuff other than things that are explicitly identifying what this is as best I can before the show. So maybe I'll give it away just by its description. Okay, we're talking about a privacy policy and me. We've grouped the information we collect into categories, with some of the information listed in multiple categories. Because we only collect information when needed, unspecified, for a particular purpose, not all of this information will apply to you. So the following is the state that I live in and what does apply to me. Here we go. Personal identifiers such as name, online identifiers such as user account names or screen names, state and federal government ID numbers, date of birth, signature, unique identifiers that we associate with you, and in some cases may even get your driver's license number. Contact information such as email, postal address, billing address, delivery or shipping address, any phone numbers, health-related information. To provide select services with your prior consent or not on select services, we may collect health-related information. If you're injured, we may collect health-related information from post-incident. Financial and payment information such as credit, debit, other payment or card numbers. Account information, including your household's unique identifier numbers, including any potential online identifiers as aforementioned, such as username or alternate IDs, passwords, security questions, purchase information, address information, email and text communication preferences, online and technical information such as your IP address, device, other persistent identifiers, browser type and version, time zone setting, device characteristics, browsing data, data related to your viewing of or interactions with any of our products and or services, information that we collect, including using cookies, pixels, or SDKs or other similar technology, location data, including a precise geolocation information, Usage including information about how you use our websites, mobile applications, or any and all service offerings. Com preferences therein, sensory data such as CCTV recordings from any facilities, premises, or photos. Some, whether on our cameras or not, may capture license plate data. Security purposes to protect the health and safety of associates and our facility to prevent, investigate, or prosecute criminal activities. We may record your voice when you contact our customer service centers. General demographic information such as age, marital, or family status, including whether your family has children or not. Languages spoken, education information, gender, employment information, other demographic information. In addition, when permitted by applicable law, we may collect or make inferences about ethnicity or race. Biometric information, user content, including feedback or any other content you provide to us willingly. Professional or employment related information such as your profession, your job title, your employer name, professional or license status, or other organizations to which you belong or are affiliated with. Inferences include information derived from other information that we've collected about your adjacency to our information collection. We create inferred and derived data elements by analyzing your history in combination with other information we have collected about you. Some of the information may include personal information that can be used to identify you, including the aforementioned name, address, email address, and in certain states, the definition of personal information may be broader and include things like IP address, mobile device ID, unique identifiers by cookies or other means. When the information we collect is considered personal information under applicable law, we will treat it as personal information. Personal information does not include data where your identity has been removed so that we can no longer identify you, or that we aggregate so that you can no longer be identified, which we may also use for any purpose. What do you think? What do you think that could be all about? Whose privacy information is that draconian?
If I was to venture a guess, I would say that you were applying for top class certification and top class, like for like a CIA job, basically. Like you were applying for a contractor position with the CIA for top security, that level of scrutiny on your personal data. That's the only thing I could think of. Top government agency, 3-letter agency, where you're exposed to stuff that the rest of humanity is not. And that's why they would need to know every single thing about your entire life to that level. But my guess is that it has nothing to do with that, because I know that is not something that you're currently pursuing.
I have not applied for a job like that in a long time, but I have applied once. Yeah.
So what are we looking at here?
With the omission of coupons, shopping data, and gasoline points, I just read you Kroger grocery store's privacy statement. That's for Smith's right down the road, bud.
What?
You think dynamic pricing isn't real? They can scan when my phone hits the parking lot and adjust the prices for the things I pay based on the aggregated data about me, the shopper in a grocery store.
I am floored.
I'll forward it to you after this. It's bananas. I'm like, are you kidding me? Including precise geolocation data. It goes on and on my IP address. What do you need my license for? What do you need my driver's license, my license plates? What? That's step one. Here's what I read when thinking about renewing my drone registration to fly my drone for photographs and videos from the FAA. This one's much shorter. This is what I expected from a U.S. government website, and even this gave me the chills. You are accessing a U.S. government authorized information system, which includes this computer, this computer's network, all computers connected to this network, all devices and storage media attached to this network or to a computer on this network, and all cloud services and hosting environments supporting this information system. It's provided for U.S. government authorized use only, and this is an umbrella for it on the public side. Unauthorized or improper use of the system could result in disciplinary action as well as civil and criminal penalties. By logging in and using the information system, you understand and consent to the following. You have no reasonable expectation of privacy regarding communications or data transiting or stored on this information system. At any time, for any lawful government purpose, communication between the user and this information system, data transiting to from the system or stored onto the system is subject to monitoring, interception, and search. Any communications or data transiting or stored on this information system may be disclosed or used for any lawful government purpose for any reason at any time. Wait, so you can get my phone because I used my computer on the same home network that I accessed a drone registration with the FAA? Yes. You want to talk about surveillance for a minute? That was a fun game.
Wow.
What's going on? Like, nobody reads the EULA for Apple. It's like 100 pages. I've read it once, and I was like, that's crazy. This is getting out of control. A grocery store, dude. That five paragraphs.
How does this not violate everybody's Fourth Amendment? How does this not violate everybody? Like,
because we consent to it by shopping there.
It cannot be legal. It cannot be legal that a corporate entity such as Kroger has the right for this level of invasive surveillance, where they say in legalese that they have every access to every ounce of your personal life. That has to be a massive violation. There's no other company. There's no companies.
If they want to enable dynamic pricing,
to do that,
and they want to enable a bot that scans your facial features or all of you, aggregates a bunch of data, and tries to sell you your favorite yogurt at the right price or whatever, they have to disclose the information collection, and this is the beginning. But the level of absurd intrusion into your personal life that you consent to by using their systems, shopping at their stores, and using a loyalty card for gasoline points includes everything I just said minus what I omitted, so you wouldn't be like, well, that sounds like a grocery store. It is.
Wow. I can't imagine that there's got to be a contingency plan for the lawsuits that are going to come their way if they ever implement this or get caught doing it in a way that, you know, two people are going to go in and test this. You're going to get two YouTuber kids who are going to go in there with two different psychological and financial profiles, and they're going to walk in there and they're going to have different prices for the same item. They're going to blow this out of the water, and it's going to get really ugly. But they've got to have a legal contingency plan where they're like, oh, we've got a team of lawyers. But I mean, we're talking about, I know Kroger's huge, but they're not like, you know, Megacorp, you know, BlackRock, you know,
but their defense will be, we sent this to them for consent. All they had to do was keep shopping at our stores. Whether they read it or not is not on us. We fulfilled our end of the deal. And it's going to be messy because by the time those two YouTubers show up, dude, it's going to be way too late as far as what's been implemented. You know what I mean?
And that's true, but it doesn't legally, contractually, on a legal level, a contract cannot violate somebody's rights. No, even if they agree to it, a contract cannot violate someone's rights, nor can it go against the foundations of the Constitution. So they will be up against a constitutional lawyer who will argue it in court and say, it doesn't matter what your contract says. Your contract is null and void if, in fact, it violates constitutional rights. And if it violates constitutional rights, you're screwed. So I'm trying to justify in my head how a company who may just not recognize, or maybe they do, maybe they understand that the vast majority of the American populace doesn't understand their rights, and they figure they've got enough money in the bank to be able to fight it to a point of killing it, or maybe making a couple of payouts to a couple of people who make enough of a stink where they'll just settle it rather than do anything and then continue on with the program.
This is
in order to launch this so that it becomes systematic everywhere else to the point where it's just unfightable and unavoidable anymore.
Yep. Their closing statement is the Privacy Act statement is provided pursuant to the Privacy Act of 1974, 5 U.S. Code USC 552A, which is very synthesized, governs how federal agencies in the United States collect, maintain, and use and share personal information about U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. But this is a private company. So the core rules for federal agencies and your personal rights are pretty outlined. Limit collection, collect directly, provide notice, keep accurate records. Your personal rights include right to access the information, right to correct records that are wrong, incomplete, or out of date, not omit, like destroy, and right to consent, preventing agencies from sharing your personal data with third parties unless an exception applies. Key exceptions to this disclosure, mind you, this act was written for the purpose of restricting the government to our content, not private companies. Agencies can share your data without your written consent in specific situations, such as massive list, routine access, sharing data for a published purpose compatible with why it was collected, agency need to know, FOIA requests, law enforcement, which we're going to get to, and court orders. There's nothing about applying anything close to that to private companies. Enter Flock cameras. Flock cameras. There are no fucking rules. You don't have to vote on this if the agencies agree to collectively buy it for state agency use. And there's like 700 or 800 police agencies using Flock cameras and stuff. Maybe more by now.
Cities are straight up buying. There's even cities in Idaho, like Twin Falls and stuff, that are buying them all over the place.
And they're getting cameras cooked right now. Not just the people destroying them because of the flagrant and reckless abuse of the Fourth Amendment, but you have situations where some cops are using it to like stalk their ex-girlfriends. And like, I mean, there's use cases where nefarious controllers are building profiled cases. They have accesses with similar technologies and people that understand the Flock backend being used to take over private cameras in daycare centers and like gymnasiums and, you know, public spaces and things like that. And then there's also like independent journalists that are so fed up with this and people taking to YouTube, making themselves independent journalists, that they're buying access information to these Flock devices on the dark web already without the use of multi-factor authentication. So where does this stop? Like, well, clearly the most crazy case of this was that Super Bowl commercial for Ring cameras a couple of years ago. And that's truly where it hit most people's radar for the first time was they ran this very expensive ad. Do you remember this where it was like, it's to help you find your lost dog. Are you kidding? You're building a dragnet out of home Ring cameras that were natively opted into with the next software update for this thing? What? And then just 2 years later, we have Flock cameras being privately, you know, it's an intelligence gathering apparatus that's backed by a bunch of AI and algorithmic backend being sold to agencies right now that are flagrantly abusing this stuff, building cases and trying to indict people for crimes they didn't even commit because they can prove they were elsewhere and stuff. We're moving into a situation with all this surveillance now, man, where you are truly guilty until proven innocent with all this stuff. But that coming from a grocery store is bananas to me. Oh, hey, we've revised a couple of things in our privacy statement. And I'm like, I'm going to read what this says because I just saw a thing on Flock, which you and I planned on talking about for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And then I got through the 5th paragraph and I was like, oh, no, we're going to bring this up. Is that not bananas? Talk to your local state authority. Talk to your congressperson. Reach out to make noise. Everybody. Like this is such an invasion of privacy on every level. Like,
and on a state level, they can absolutely ban businesses from doing this. They absolutely have the authority to say, if you want to have licensing or want to practice business within this state, you are not allowed to collect this type of data through this side company that you've contracted with in order to collect this data for your own profiteering or data collecting for whatever, for algorithmic data collecting.
Any reason
you don't have
whatsoever.
the authority nor the right to do it. Yeah.
The two things I recommend people do is talk to their local government and ask them, where do you stand on this stuff? And the second thing you should do in the same conversation is let them know where you stand on this stuff. But this isn't good. Because we talked about,
it's more than just the flock. We've got everybody up in arms at every city council in this area screaming about flock cameras. Last year was LPRs. Now it's flock cameras. And you and I had talked previously about LPRs is kind of archaic, because if you're talking about like surveillance and data collection, you're talking about like what Ford is doing in their vehicles and how it's going to be every vehicle very shortly that just is collecting data and can be shut off if you didn't pay this or that. And
every model is supposed to have that camera that surveils you for safety reasons to make sure you don't take your eyes off the road, where it's constantly recording you. Every single US sold vehicle that's 2026 or newer, so the 2027 model lineup and forevermore, is the new normal for an automobile.
Yeah.
In the United States.
So you've got that. Then now you've got all the grocery stores now hopping on board with this new system that literally, and for lack of a better term, rapes you of all of your information and uses it against you, either to collect data to give it to other agencies at their leisure, or just at the bare minimum raise and lower prices depending on your economic status. Now, why? I mean, this is credit score stuff. This is smart city credit score stuff.
Yep.
And so now, between all of that, and then now flock cameras all added in, like, we are well beyond an area where you can at all feel safe. Like, it is one of those things where the safety measures now puts you into danger.
It galls me to admit it, but I think the Amish were right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they've been saying it. They've been saying it, but
they've been living it. This is so out of control, man. Like, I have access to theoretical practice stuff that gets discussed pretty openly on an ethics board at where I work over at Redacted about the types of data that can be collected versus what. It's basically, when do we cross the line where things get creepy with how we market products and services over at Redacted. And this type of stuff has come up, quite a bit, more now with AI being the new buzzword, but even as far back as 4 or 5 years ago, where there was a really cool concept as far as convenience is concerned. But when you really unpack the layers of making an ecosystem like that work, it became very, very intrusive, to the point where it's like, that's probably going to become more of a PR nightmare than it will be an added benefit to those that would leverage the convenience. And we don't think this is a good idea. And everybody collectively said, even the person that sponsored the concept, like, unpacked it all and went, okay, cool use of technology as far as can we do this, but should we do this was never considered until it was brought up into a board. And I was grateful to be on that panel of folks that had a say in that matter, or had a voice in the room at least. And but we're so far past that now with the violations of privacy and the collection of raw data on us. It's absurd. Like, there's a series of prompts just as a home user. If you use a ChatGPT type of program a lot, there's a series of prompts you can ask it. Hey, just based on all of our conversations and everything you know about me in all records you may have, inferred or not, I want you to give me an explicit breakdown of how you would communicate something to me, how you think you would predictably sell something to me, and why you think that would work, Be clinical about your approach. Don't use any flattering stuff, and parrot words I've used with you back at me to prove your point. You'd be shocked at how much information it knows about you that you didn't think that it knew about you, or that it inferred about you on how fast you type, the words you use, the type of language you're using with sentence structure. Like, if you think this data is not being aggregated, you can ask it and it'll show it to you. But this type is the grocery store, man. Like, so I went down and got some hot dogs to barbecue and got some gas points off of it. And you had access to everything about me that you're building profile information on for reasons that remain unclear at this time. You've got to be kidding me. They're not. They're very open about it.
I don't think anybody in this area, this neck of the woods, is even functionally aware of it, because in this area, our Kroger, which is Smith's for you, is Fred Meyer up here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so I shopped at Fred Meyer yesterday. You know, like, it's frequent. My mom works there. Yep. You know, so like,
if you have a rewards membership number and you gave them an email address to send you the updates to, dig around in your spam box or your inbox and find the updated privacy rules and agreements for that, and then find your state when you open their website and just read it. What exactly is the privacy statement that I'm wholesale agreeing to by using your website to order groceries or going to your store to buy them? This was crazy to me. I was just going to encourage we talk about flock cameras. And I got to the grocery store privacy policy. It was like, all right, I've had enough. At some point, man, like, the level of intrusive data collection, there has to be some form of local regulation on the private sector, as well as pursuant to the Privacy Act of 1974. Like, absolutely. That goes great with wiretapping. We're so far beyond wiretapping with biometric data now and beyond that it's
or license plate readers or anything like that. Like, I mean, if the grocery store can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people wonder why I didn't want to do the 23andMe. I'll just give us your DNA. Are you out of your mind? Do you know what the possibilities of that are? And then we whimsically started talking about stories popping up. We solved a cold case based on aggregating DNA profile information on, you know, the 23andMe's and the whatever else websites there were, ancestry.coms and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
How are you okay with using that data? Did they sign up for this? And everyone did. They used those sites, and then that goes up for sale. That including the information that they have on the DNA records of all the users. Oh my God. So people wonder why I shy away from that stuff. Well, now it's the flock camera that you don't have control over because it didn't show up on a voting ballot board. The police agency in your county just bought it and started using it as part of their tool set. And now the grocery store. That's a lot for a grocery, no?
That's a lot. Like, an unbelievable amount. I mean, like I said, I thought you were applying for a CIA contract with that level of scrutiny. Yeah. But no, that's just Fred Meyer. That's just buying milk and eggs.
Yeah.
And at this point, they can surveil you to a point and then give all that information to whatever agency they deem that they feel like they want to send it to. Mm-hmm. You don't get a choice in the matter. So yeah, that is
like the FAA one was scary, and it was like very in your face about it. And you're like, okay, well, I'd imagine if I was an FBI personnel agent signing up, logging into a website, that I would expect to see a disclaimer such as this printed on the homepage, right? Like, hey man, you're consenting to agree that none of this is private to you. It all belongs to the government, including anything that's on the network that you're using to access this. We're just going to scrape it all. I could almost buy that and be like, well, this is the cost of being a Fed. I didn't expect that on the FAA's dronezone.com website to re-register your drone, which is mandatory even as a recreational pilot. And I was like, ouch, I'm not going to register my drone. I'm kind of not interested in that, and I don't use it enough to warrant another year out of it. Maybe next year, because my life's on fire right now. Like I don't need to be worrying about drone payments for, you know, whatever the $13 to $25 it costs to register the drones. And I think I have 3 of them now. That's almost an expected behavior, but I was a little aghast at the forwardness of the privacy policy from Smith's Kroger. Yeah. My inbox. It's like, oh snap! I'm glad I read this because, yikes! What do you do? Where do you go shopping?
It's terrifying.
So
you can't. Well, you would have to go shopping. Like I was just thinking about it. How do you avoid these type of things? And first and foremost, we need to. Anybody in any state that's listening to this needs to get a hold of their local legislator, and then show them this kind of evidence and say this is like violation, and get them to write some legislative work that they can take down to the capital of whatever state you're in and actually try to get it through committee and actually push to get this illegal in your state.
Yeah.
Of course it'll be challenged. Of course it'll be pushed back on. Of course they'll try to find loopholes and whatever, but eventually you might be able to make some progress on this.
Cash only, and don't bring your phone with you when you go into the grocery store's geofence, I guess, is the only way to mitigate that.
Go to smaller grocery stores. Go to family grocery stores. They're still going to get the photo
of you on the way in. So, like, you can't show up in a mask, but, like, you could try to fight back personally as you're talking to your local government. But good God, man. Go to the farmer's market. Live off apples and Aunt May's famous peach pie or something. I don't know. How do you live? I don't know. Because I live in a state, dude, where nothing grows. Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, everything's imported here from California, from Oregon, from wherever else. And Kroger's got a big machine behind that supply chain, you know, so you can't really avoid the fact that there aren't too many places to shop from other than go read the privacy policy before you sign up for any grocery store's loyalty program, I guess, and see if there's the same type of information in there. But man, it's getting crazy. I didn't expect that level of invasion from my local grocery store, man.
No kidding.
Anyway, thanks for letting me go through it. I know it was a lot of exposition for that.
No, that was great. I don't really want to talk about, like, it was kind of on the docket and we both decided that it wasn't worth talking about, but worth mentioning. We're just going to basically skip over the Candy and Andy debate. So Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson about, you know, two bad people discuss the death of a good man. Yeah. I did watch it. And I actually shut it off halfway through because it was nearly impossible to watch. It was bickering between children. Two bad people working in bad faith that don't know anything about it, both have agendas, and are disgracing and besmirking the life of a good man and the death of a good man. And so I think that nobody won outside of Candace for getting $300,000 that went straight into her pocket for it. I think it was disgraceful. I think the whole thing was stupid. And I don't think I would pick either one of those people to debate on the man's death. And I'm of the belief that we should wait until the trial kicks underway, because we still aren't there yet. We're still in the preliminary stages of it, and I think that she has profited insanely off of the death of him, and I think that she's gross. I think that she's wildly wrong on every one of her aspects and completely batshit crazy. Yeah. But I also think that Andrew Wilson is a mean, nasty little man who is a liar and not as good of a debater as he thinks he is. So I think everybody lost in that one, and I don't really want to talk about it. So why don't we move on to Conspiracy Corner, my friend?
Let's do it.
And actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't... there's a few jokes I'll dine out on, but not at the expense of somebody's life. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was on a podcast for years where we would rip on Carlos Ghosn, who's the former chief executive officer of Nissan. And the long story short, he was in some deep financial and bad business dealings trouble with the Japanese government. So while on house arrest waiting trial, while they were finalizing charges, this man hired a band. The band played, but really it was like a special operations where they smuggled this man out of his own home in a essentially an oversized guitar case. It was like for big speaker boxes and stuff. Threw him in cargo on a private flight and then flew him to a country where there's no extradition, where he still remains. That I'll joke about for the rest of my life. Like,
yeah,
but
I remember that story.
Yeah. The just let the Kirk family alone. Like, Candace made enough money on that shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Conspiracy Corner. For those of you just checking us out, when the tinfoil hats are on, everything we say, all credibility is lost. Personal and professional. We're just talking about some conspiracy shit. This one I brought up this week. Just to give a bit of context, there's an actress, Hayden, I'm going to screw this up, Panettiere, who passed away this week. She is kind of famous for her work on the show, I think, Heroes. She's 36 years old.
That's what I know her from.
She's done some other shows. Nashville was another big one where she was pretty popular on. But she's a younger gal, 36, actress. She's also a mother. She passed away, and it was declared heart failure, likely due to an overdose, but there's a lot of stuff that hasn't come out about this yet. And what's a little conspiracy about this is she appeared on Jay Shetty's podcast called On Purpose this May, looking perfectly healthy and talking perfectly fine. Now, you know, if she had substance abuse problems and stuff, that's possible, and maybe she was having a good day. But she was there to promote a memoir called This Is Me, A Reckoning, which is a book that's supposed to come out pretty soon. And I watched some of this, and it was kind of hard to get through because it's a pretty emotional and now really widely shared interview where she really talks about her personal life, overcoming a lot of darkness and looking forward to the future. Talked about parenthood a little bit and so on and so forth. One of the topics that she brought up was a situation that was pretty grim. She didn't drop any names, but there was a story she told about being on a boat where someone she trusted a lot kind of ushered her into this spot on this yacht or boat or whatever, where there was a very prominent, very popular, influential man who was kind of like there waiting to receive her as some form of sexual gift. And she kind of flipped out, went into survival mode, and actually hid on part of a boat where she couldn't be found or could avoid this situation until she got to safety, which puts a lot of, I'll say, Jeffrey Epstein-esque style darkness around this situation, where it's like, well, there's probably a common problem with young actresses. Let's go back to Harvey Weinstein. There's been a lot. I mean, that kind of sponsored the Me Too movement back then.
Right.
And then she shows up dead suddenly. Like, my conspiracy hackles went up and went, hey, this could have been a substance abuse overdose thing. What the fuck is going on here? Like, this feels like, you know, like someone that's about to testify to something and then winds up dead before they can hit the, like, and we've seen this a lot of times over the years, man, a lot of times. Boeing most recently was pretty high profile. I think Enron prior to that, there were some whispers of the Clintons. Like, what is happening out here with this stuff, and who are they going to name is kind of the premise of the conspiracy. Like, I don't know if that's going to be in her book or not, but now she's gone, man. Like, at 36 years old. Like,
and a mother. Yeah. Like,
what?
You know, this girl was kind of an America's sweetheart kind of girl. Yeah. She was always in fairly wholesome work. Like, from when she was a little girl, she was in a bunch of stuff like Remember the Titans and stuff like that. And she never really kind of ventured into risque work or controversial work. She was kind of just America's sweetheart. pretty blonde and talented, and so she was exactly what the evil that is Hollywood was looking for to exploit. And she seemed to manage her way through Hollywood in a way that didn't seem exploitive to her. And then her revealing this situation, she was very specific. I saw the interview too. Mm-hmm. She was very specific, without saying any names, that the man that was laying on the bed naked was very famous. Yeah. Not just like she didn't say like he's well known in certain circles, right, or he's a household name or something like that. She made it very clear that this guy was a lister, like a major player in the Hollywood world. For her to come up dead from a heart attack at 36 years of age, and them kind of wishy-washy, kind of beating around the bush about a substance abuse issue. I'm sorry. 36, sure, 28, 27, Heath Ledger, or somebody.
All the child actors, like Macaulay Culkin, pretty famously. There was that Aaron Carter singer kid whose parents were royally abusive, and like you could see his decline before he took his own life. And then there's who's Amanda that other Bynes. Gal? Yeah, that's Amanda it. Bynes. Amanda Bynes is who I was thinking of, like the Mickey Mouse Club stuff, Britney.
All of it.
I mean, the list goes on and fucking on, and it's tragic. And so
it's without a doubt that these people have suffered severe traumas through this, mm-hmm, and are becoming the products of those trauma. Now, it's easy to dismiss them for Hollywood, going, look, Amanda Bynes is nuts. Anything that she says is all crazy. But when you get somebody like Hayden, who is
the opposite of Amanda Bynes,
the opposite of all of that,
or like Lindsay Lohan, or anybody else that lost their fucking mind publicly.
Right. They can't discredit her. Her voice. I mean, it's not like what's her name, Rose McGowan, who shaved her head and started screaming about Harvey Weinstein, and half the people were like, well, she's not totally nuts, and enough people came out to back her up, but they never really backed her up. They just kind of went forth with the Me Too movement and kind of left her even though she was the one shouting the loudest, the earliest, they never kind of went into her corner. They just dismissed her as crazy, and she never really worked again. Hayden was a working, young, artist who actually had success and a good family, and was like, this is what was happening to me. It had credibility. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem, is that her testimony in any capacity, whether it be in the written word or in a courtroom, has credibility. And if she named names, they were screwed. And somebody was going to go down for it. Now, could she have died because of, let's say, she took 6 booster shots of the COVID thing and had a weakened heart situation?
Yeah.
That could also play into the effect. But the timing is just way too weird for that interview. And then for 2 months later, her to drop dead from a heart attack at 36 and in great health.
That's where I was like, it's tinfoil hat time, because that's another one that the pieces don't fit. We've talked going off and on about those.
Women don't die of heart attacks.
Well, yeah, but like those the people associated with the space programs and highly confidential theoretical stuff that wind up dead. All of them happen to leave their phone at home that day and just go on a hike. It's like, really?
Yeah.
And there's like 10 or 12 of them that are like, they're starting to connect the dots. I think with the Hollywood aspect of this, that had to be whoever, and I don't know if it's going to be named in the book or not. That'd be pretty devastating for a publisher to go through with that without being like, buckle up, kiddo. It's going to be a major legal battle once this name goes public or whatever. I doubt that it will be, but it makes you wonder, man, how many people were just absolutely destroyed by predatory behavior like this, particularly around Hollywood and stuff. And for this to just be another statistic that we'll forget about in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. her life meant nothing to these people and to the
that's what
public
happened,
at large.
Yeah.
And to the public at large, we will move on in the news cycle, and her life was left for nothing due to the fact that the conspiracy wasn't salacious enough, or the information didn't come out that we could actually build a case off of. And unfortunately, I think we'll probably be left with exactly the same questions that we have today that we will in a couple of years, because that's the point of what they do in Hollywood.
It
they
feels like the modern version of the JonBenet Ramsey girl from way back. Do you remember when that was like a big headline? The child... Right. Model or whatever, and it's likely that the parents had nefarious whatever. Kind of feels that way for this actress, that if there's dots to connect in a conspiracy type of thread, it's sure scary at the amount of widespread abuse that's probably ending up this way.
Right.
If not by the artist's own hand for lack of being able to cope and deal with it in a healthy way. This felt like it was way, way, way too coincidental. And I'm like, what happened? I think I sent that to you. I'm like, can we talk about this? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because she looked fine in May on that show.
Yes, she did. She did not look as if she was somebody who was even dabbling in illicit substances. And I would imagine, where was she living at the time? Like North Carolina or something like that?
She was found in South Carolina, but I don't know if that's where she lived or not.
Okay. I think that's where she was living, was in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And so,
and the new breaking news I read about this today in preparation for the show was suddenly there's a potentially abusive boyfriend character in the mix, and that people were concerned about, and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, well, that seems oddly convenient after sharing what she shared on someone's podcast in a pretty vulnerable way. Yeah. I'm crazy. Yeah. So I don't know what to make of this. I'm kind of firmly in the camp of there needs to be lots of parallel investigations into this and
agreed,
try to get some truth out of this. But then again, we were promised the Epstein files for a long time, and I still haven't really gotten to the bottom of that. I don't think anyone has. So
I'm reading an ABC News article right now, and it says in an interview on Good Morning America in 2022, she opened up about grappling with alcoholism and postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know outside of that if there was any. Her brother died suddenly in February of 2023 from an enlarged heart, coupled with aortic valve complications, his family said in a statement at the time. He was 28. So there are heart issues in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother died of them, and she did struggle with alcoholism. But it's still weird, and it's still weird timing. And if you already had that information, like, I mean, the tinfoil hat is on, so I can say what I want. If you had all this information prior,
mm-hmm.
And she started opening up her mouth and went, well, her family already has heart issues, and she's got that alcoholism problem. She could have a heart attack and not expose anybody, and we could brush it under the rug as a family and substance abuse issue. So, I mean, it would be an easy alibi, but
yeah, especially if you can't make public the toxicology reports if the family allows an autopsy and stuff, but maybe an investigation will. I don't know.
Her birthday is this upcoming Friday too. She would have been 37.
Wow.
So
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Sad.
It just feels really bad because she seemed like a pretty cool gal, and I've seen her on TV before. I have no relation to her. My heart goes out to the family for the loss, obviously. That blows at 36 years old, especially if you've lost another child to heart stuff a couple of years ago. But man, this just feels weird. I don't know. Something about this feels
really does.
Not great. So
it did immediately strike me as something's not right with this. So yeah, you're right. You're right. She's like I said before, she's like super wholesome. Of all of her era of like kind of teen to adult kind of female actresses in kind of her subset, her genre, she never bothered me. A lot of them do. A lot of them, I'm just of that nature that girls of that age range, there's something about him that just like it's like a beehive in my head. I can't listen to him talk. I don't like and I'm annoyed by most of them because they tend to be very shallow and and she looks the part. She looks like somebody who would annoy me. She didn't. Yeah. You know, there was something about her that seemed genuinely good and real. And so I don't know, because obviously, like you said, we don't know this girl. We never did. But I do feel like something very strange happened to this woman. And I would like, like you said, independent kind of investigations into seeing what actually happened to her. Because if we can't get the Epstein files, let's start picking away at the edges of something like this.
Yeah.
So, but. So.
All right. My hat's coming off. I'm back to normal.
That was kind of a sadder.
I know. Now that we've talked about
sadder conspiracy corner,
privacy concerns, and all this other stuff, we should get some smilage back. Talk to us about the dope.
All right. So the dope this week is something that kind of correlates with two things of how I kind of even, came to this story. It reminded me of two different things going on. One, how I really started looking at positive content and why it mattered to me to find this positive content. And it was this weird inspirational story that happened probably a little over a year ago. And I was heavy and deep into local politics stuff that was really heavy, like and national politics that was really heavy, and then just heaviness everywhere. The whole internet was doom and gloom and heavy. And I was like scrolling one day and I saw this one kid, and I can't remember his name. I should, because I still follow him, but and he was this like kind of soft-spoken, almost stuttering kid who's not good on camera, but he seemed really genuine, and he had quit his job and bought a sailboat. And he learned how to basically sail over the course of the next 6 months and year. Then he sold everything he owned, quit his job, and grabbed his cat and made a determined, focused idea that he was going to, with very little experience, was going to make an attempt to sail from the West Coast, I think it was Oregon, and sail to Hawaii. And he filmed the whole thing. He had a GoPro camera, his cat, and he went through major storms. He went through his engine, and he would like do a video every day of like, things are getting crazy. My engine blew, and I don't know really. I am trying to figure out how to fix it. My satellite phone is like barely, or my satellite feed is barely working. But I'll see what I can do. And just the adventure of this kid just taking this on, it was super inspirational. It gathered a lot of followers, and eventually he made it. And it built such confidence in him that he actually accomplished this thing. And he then took that concept and rolled with it and has been sailing all over the place. Really great guy. But that kind of kept me looking for that kind of content where it was an escapism of dopamine in a world of craziness, where I saw somebody doing something positive and inspirational. That being said, also I grew up in Northern California, in gold country, right? And my stepdad at one point in time, he always got kind of these these pockets of interest where he would obsess over certain things and thought it was going to be the next money-making gimmick, you know, selling Melaleuca or do, you know,
right.
all these little things, furniture building, miniature furniture building. Like he always had these, and he was pretty creative and he was always good at what he did. But for a pocket of time, we spent our weekends as kids with our parents going up to different creek beds while he bought some gear to do like gold panning.
Yeah.
Because he thought he was going to gold pan us into, you know, a better life. It was fun. It was interesting, but it obviously, and no pun intended, never panned out. So, but I had a little bit of understanding of sluicing and gold panning due to growing up that way. Along comes this channel that came across my feed, and it's about this guy, and it's just Rob Parsons, you know, Parsons, and he's a Tasmanian guy.
Yeah,
he's an Australian YouTuber from Tasmania, and he lives in Tasmania, and he is a descendant of Charles Octavius Parsons. So he's been a generational Tasmanian.
Isn't that the Green Goblin?
But
Doc Ock?
Yeah, it's Octavius. Yeah. But this, I didn't realize it, but I ended up going, because up until I went to go start this show today, I was just looking up information about him. He has a whole Wikipedia page where he does like commercial filming laws and fighting that in Tasmania, because apparently like small content creators are subject to the same laws that like major film production companies have to go through in Tasmania, and he's fighting that. And then he's famous for the searching for a lady named Celine Kremer, which is the disappearance of Celine Kremer off of Cradle Mountain in that area, and he became famous in 2023 for that. None of that I knew. None of this background stuff I knew. I just saw this guy who's trampling around in the woods in Tasmania and going along shallow creek beds. And he would set up camp, and he had set up a goal where he goes, I'm going to mine for gold out of these creek beds until I come up with enough money to buy a Toyota Land Cruiser without, working a regular job. I'm just going to mine enough gold to do it and buy an $80,000 Toyota Land Cruiser. And so day by day, you would watch him put on, set up camp and a campfire, and it looks like it's raining all the time and cold. And he gets into his wetsuit and his gear with a camera and a pick and a vacuum. And he goes underwater and he finds these little crevices of granite and stuff where he knows where they all kind of collect. And you watch him just get all these, what he calls pickers and nuggets and flakes. And he gets all these little chunks of gold. And then at the end of the episode, he comes up for lunch, and then he goes back down for the rest of the day, and then he comes up and then he measures out all the gold, and you get to see it, and then he tally it off of the total of the $80,000 per day. And he was out there, he goes, until I get enough. Eventually, I think Toyota told him to not talk about their car anymore, because then he just started calling it a four-wheel drive vehicle, and then had a black SUV silhouette up there. But he just came, and it's just been inspirational to watch this guy's determination. He set a goal, and he's having fun doing it. And you're getting to watch him actually physically pull all the gold out of this creek bed, and it's actually really fascinating to watch. And then you're kind of going along with him, watching him break down the tally, and by 2 weeks he's halfway there, and he's like just cruising along with getting anywhere between $800 worth of gold to like $5,000 worth of gold in a day. And some days are better than others, and he's got a pretty fun commentary that goes with it, kind of explaining what he's doing the entire time. And then as of yesterday, It was day 34 of Rob Parsons looking for enough gold to come up with $80,000. He made his goal. He made his goal of over $80,000 as of yesterday. So the next video that he's going to post is him going to purchase the vehicle with the money he made with gold. And so I've been following this guy. You can go back and watch all the videos and watch him actually pick all the gold out. But it was just really cool to watch somebody who set out a goal like that and just decided to film it and started going into something that it looks like he knew how to do a little bit, but learned along the way.
Yeah.
And realizing that, that was the way that people used to do things. They used to forage. They used to create. They used to, have to go out in the woods and either get food or get materials or get what they needed to do to get the thing that they wanted. And it felt raw. It felt like he was doing something productive in order to get the means of which he needed to get the thing he wanted. And so there's definitely a dopamine hit of watching somebody do that. I would imagine it's a bigger dopamine hit of doing it yourself, but I'll live vicariously because plane flights to Tasmania are expensive.
Yeah.
But that is the dope for the week.
That's awesome.
And
I like that stuff. I don't know if it's, passively, like, indirectly omitting crippling depression or what, but I really enjoy watching hope core stuff like that a great deal, where you get the montage of the soldier coming home, or friends being reunited for years, or people that set a goal and you get to kind of follow their journey. Especially a dollar figure like that in just over a month is like pretty good, especially for, you know what I mean? It's like, well, shoot, next time you have to punish, I don't know, a child or something for trying to steal public property, you could give them a pan and send them up to a creek and be like, hey, time to go work it off. Set a goal. How much are you going to pay your way out of this one? No, I don't know where that came from. But just stuff like that, where you're like, am I doing this because it's really cool to see something different, or because I lack human validation and wonder what it's like when other people react to cool stuff? I do this so I can feel. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Wait, the internet knows us well, and it gives us the chemicals that we need, apparently. But
I'm gonna check it out, because I really enjoy that stuff a great deal, especially recently.
Yeah, it's fun. So, but hey, we got a few movies to discuss this week.
We do.
And they're all recaps of movies that we've watched previously and done previous reviews for. However, in this particular case, you watched movies that I've already reviewed, and I watched a movie that you already reviewed. And so I'm actually pretty excited.
It would be so cool if we had a segment like this where we collectively agreed that we would watch the same thing. The unfortunate part about that is our wildly different schedules and lives that only collide, it seems, on Monday evenings and Tuesday evenings, make it really difficult. Plus, I think you and I channel surf enough to be like, whatever, put that on. And then we either enjoy it or we don't. I just recently regained access to the commercialized version of Netflix. Somebody was like, it's $3. Do you want me to add you on there? I'll just do it. And I'm like, sure. Do you want the commercial free one? I'm like, just do the cheap one. Everything else I have, like Amazon and shit, all contains commercials. It's part of the new normal. So we probably could watch the same thing, but I digress. We're going to finish each other's weeks ago thoughts in this weird disoriented way. But if you're a follower of the show, you know that's how we get down. So you watched a movie I recommended called War Machine.
I did.
And it was not because I thought it was a breathtaking movie, but it was such a cool and unexpected twist that I recognized the millisecond it hit my eyeballs, where I was like, oh, we're going to go in a totally different direction, I bet. And I was right, that it was like, oh, this is a really cool concept. Like, not what I thought. What did you think about War Machine? This is Alan Richardson's 2026 War Machine, not the MCU, whatever.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciated the fact that this movie was obviously not written by AI. And then I looked into it and I was right. It was actually written by a dude who actually based it off of weirdly a dream that he had, because he's an ex-military guy. So the guy who wrote the screenplay actually was in the military and had kind of gone through some of this stuff loosely, and then had a weird dream and then went, I'm going to write that into a movie, and he did. And so thank God for not having the schlock that they've been putting out with AI writing. And I would love to have seen this in the theater, and have loved to have seen it without like any previews, like basically going, oh, this is a cool like ranger montage kind of.
That's actually a great point. Did this have a theatrical release? I just thought it was a Netflix studio release.
It was
It was.
Yeah. So, So unfortunately, it never touched the theaters. But it would have been really cool to go in there thinking you're watching a war movie and having the twist hit. And that would have been fun. And it was fun regardless. But I happened to check in also with my cousin Victor, who was in the Marines, did work with Special Forces on a very, very, very frequent basis, and actually as a civilian works for a operational company called I think Khaki.
We don't need to dox him too hard. He works he works for some contracted folks interested in paramilitary stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And does training with them. And he does training with a lot of special forces still to this day.
Safe to say he's the closest industry expert you know.
Yeah, right. So, but he actually told me that he loved this movie, and he said that a lot of the military portions of it and the ranger training and stuff like that was very, very accurate. So he was very happy with the accuracy. That being said, man, after you get through what seems to be like, I think you described it as a
felt like a
ranger recruitment video.
Yeah, it felt like a 40-minute recruiting video where you're like, oh, cool. And then what, where it's like Army Rangers, because I was kind of going through it like, well, this is kind of an interesting, like, they're really going deep into this stuff. And then it just
and then flips on its head. And now Alan Rickson's character gets forced into the leadership role that his unit really wanted him to do, but he was reluctant to do for past reasons that get explained at the beginning of the movie and then also at the end of the movie. But his team gets set out on their final training mission to become Rangers and come across what they thought was supposed to be the downed aircraft that was explained in their training stuff, right? And
it's the target of their operation, and the operation is a training exercise so they can graduate this phase of their training, or I think the final phase of their training. So they believe they've reached the goal. Yeah.
Right. And what they end up doing, and also they're trickling out information in the background of every scene earlier about something that's going on in space.
Yeah.
And before you know it, it puts its foot on the gas and never lets up. And from that point on, it is a wild ride of what nostalgically for me felt like a modern version in cinema of what used to be like the old Mech Warrior games, whether they, tabletop games or whether it be the video games, but the old Mech Warrior games. And it was fun, and it didn't stop being fun. And it was just a badass guy movie. There was nothing in it that kind of made you want to, go, oh, like it wasn't woke at all.
Yeah.
And it didn't even try to be.
It has outside
of the fact that it had the one girl in the Ranger school, but outside of that, like
it had the fabric of a deep popcorn movie. It was just, that's it. I have some pretentious thoughts on this film that I said I promised you in pre-show I would share with you. I think one of the themes that I recognized in this movie and then had an immediate correlation and thought, that's probably why I really enjoyed this. Is it kind of goes back to Top Gun Maverick. In Top Gun Maverick, there is the not so headline premise that the movie's really about the character development of Maverick. He doesn't want to be a teacher, and he's kind of forced into a teaching role. It's beautifully shot. It's wonderfully done. The action sequences are very Tom Cruise-ish. It has blockbuster written all over it, but the enemy is referred to as the enemy. It's this androgynous, someone's violating a nuclear accord, and it's, the enemy has 5th gen fighters. They don't call out that these are, F-35s or specificity. It's not the evil Russians the way that it was in the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s. It's just the enemy, and it's this very could be anywhere. We see flights in the desert. We see flights in the snow. That's a side effect of really Pete Mitchell is the guy that we're rooting for this whole time. And I kind of thought they did almost the exact same thing, where there's no aliens with nefarious purposes. We don't learn about how their weaknesses. It's not an Independence Day type of movie. It's literally just man versus machine. And we go in a very unusual circumstance with some really cool cinematics. And we're kind of lost in the art of man versus machine and a pretty cool twist into a story we didn't know where it was going for a while. And it really resonates because it's almost the same thing. And I'm starting to see that come out a lot more, where it's like, well, the enemy doesn't have to have a face where we're ostracizing this. And now that could also be a little woke in and of itself, right? Like, we're not going to call out this is the Chinese government or the evil Russians from the 80s or the USSR. It's not as James Bond on the nose as it used to be.
Making evil ambiguous.
Correct. Which I think has a downside. That said, you don't need it to tell a cool story. And I'm seeing that a bunch in these newer films. That's like, actually, it was Maverick I was rooting for the whole time. Or actually, it's Alan Rickson's character in this film that we're kind of rooting for the whole time. And it's because they spent a lot of time developing the character part of this, where you're really rooting for the dude at the end of this. Even though the circumstances are way over the top, you kind of want to see him hit his goal, and you see he's gaining the trust and embodying the position that maybe he was resistant to. And similarly, Maverick becomes the cool teacher at the end that saves the day and goes on the mission. So I was like, I'm seeing connective tissue to a lot of these newer films, and the military is an easy win for the thread that binds, but I liked it for that. I was like, oh, I don't necessarily need to know that much. It really is kind of a machine with an exhaust port, and it's, nothing super complicated there, but I thought it was kick ass. It was a ton of fun. I don't know how many megs you got on this, but I thought it was a cool film.
I gave it a solid 8. 8 megs. I thought it had some great rewatchability. It's something that I would watch again for sure. Was it like mind-blowingly amazing? No, but it was fun enough and it was cool enough that I don't know. You get me with soldiers versus robots, or monsters versus robots, anything like that. If robots are involved and they're getting destroyed, I'm pretty happy about it. So it was, definitely a solid 8 megs on this for me.
Nice. Yeah. I feel like I'm slowly winning you over to the fine food groups that are my very basic palette for fun movie time, which is pretty girls, spies, explosions, robots, sci-fi. Yeah, we don't,
for sure.
I don't necessarily need Macbeth in every film to enjoy but War Machine was fun. So then I turned around and I went with one of my neighbor. He and I will go see hey, Dune 2 is out, let's go see it, kind of thing.
Right.
This case, we went and saw the new Spider-Man film. A few things stood out to me. One, I think it was super duper fun to see cool action without a whole lot of, depth into where are they taking this in the MCU timeline, culminating in an Avengers Endgame. Although this will with some of the new stuff, right? we know they're bringing a relatively unknown younger cast that's resonating with younger audiences. And I think Spider-Man's a huge part of this, because when you watch Homecoming and then you get to this new film, a lot of the kids that went to see Homecoming are now of the age where Peter Parker's at in the Tom Holland universe, going through, you know, the college stuff and just outside of that and sort of his life around it. I will say the movie was really long. You could feel how long it was when you were in there. But I had a really great time. I thought this was super cool. Like, it's an easy 8 megs for me because, you know, there's a ton of stuff. I do really get confused, particularly with Deadpool and stuff, around the Sony, then the Fox, you know, universe being, you know, and they did a beautiful send off for a lot of those characters that never got an ending that we liked. Some of those movies were really bad back in the day, but they were there for us when nothing else was, in a lot of ways. And I still have a deep appreciation for, you know, the X-Men universe that Fox, 20th Century Fox put up. And so when Disney bought that, now they're, the confusing part is they're pulling MCU characters back and forth into these things. And now that they own the rights to all this stuff, they're kind of going the other way. And I think we're going to see in Doomsday a lot of X-Men. And I think there's been some reprisal roles, particularly with Nightcrawler and with Cyclops, that we're probably going to see in this new film. Not sure how I feel about Robert Downey Jr. being the centerpiece again, because he can put butts in seats, and he probably will. But I thought Spider-Man was fun. It was just a ton of fun. Like, you kind of really relate to Peter Parker as like the best intentions guy that kind of always falls backwards into the wrong situation and has to work his way out of. The only thing I didn't like about this film, really, that didn't score out super outstanding for me, is I'm also basic enough in my movie palette that I really like a straightforward villain. Yeah. And we didn't get to the antagonist of this film for a long time. And I hate to be a prissy bitch about this, but there's no way a gamma level mutated superhero in Spider-Man would even come close to Jean Grey at that age if she wanted to annihilate existence. Like, what are we doing? It's Jean Grey. And then also the Hulk is involved in this. Sorry. Those are world-ending heroes, at least what I'm aware of. Like, poor Spider-Man would get squashed like a spider on a wall against either one of these. So it's cool the way they did it. It was really sexy the way they did this. And he gets to be a hopeful piece of Jean Grey's development that we later, if the X-Men universe is to still live on in our memories, we later get to see her journey and stuff and go, oh, that's cool that Peter Parker was a part of this at some point when she was a little bit younger. But from a, could you kick my ass in a street fight? There's no shot Peter Parker's going to outlast either Hulk or Jean Grey for less than, you know, like he's not going to put up much of a fight, in my opinion. And maybe I'm dead wrong because you know X-Men better than I do, but I'm just like, dude, that feels like he's going up against God. Like, what are we doing with Jean Grey?
Essentially it is, and she's known as an Omega level mutant. Yeah, there's levels to the mutants, and Hulk is an Omega level being on Earth. Yeah, so both those people are in the same kind of categories. Yeah. Peter is not. Peter is obviously, he's above Captain America as far as his super abilities, but below, you know, like Iron Man, you know, stuff like that. So he's like kind of mid-tier. Yeah. You know, Punisher is a full-on street character. Yeah, he doesn't have. He's
a Morlock.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's got, you know, you've got some street level guys, and even Daredevil is a street level guy, you know, but canonically, as far as the comics go, they pulled the Hulk, Punisher, Spider-Man like fights right out of the comic books, because that happened quite a bit. So the three of them, you know, basically Peter in the middle of the Hulk and a mortal man in Frank Castle trying to stop the Hulk, and the Hulk like chasing him down, and Peter trying to get them to stop, and then them both focusing on Peter because he's like getting in the way. That's happened multiple times in the books. They really love doing that in the late 80s. Yeah. That combo, that trio, because those were their three money makers, so they used to throw them in books together all the time. But pulling Jean in to this as kind of the antagonist that even at her age, her like they limited her because she has not fully developed, because they did show the limitations to what she was capable of at this age,
right?
What she's capable of when she becomes a full-grown, X-Men under the tutelage of Professor Xavier, and then through the Phoenix Force and all that kind of stuff, where she really develops her powers. That's when she becomes Omega level.
Yeah,
and
she's like a universal threat at that point. Yeah,
universal threat. Yeah. They really made sure that she could only do it to certain degrees in this, which I thought was pretty cool.
And here's where I need to go to the scholar, which is you, about this question. Because while understanding that this part of the Peter Parker Jean Grey thing is likely a Kevin Feige and Russo brothers nudge toward a future storyline they're going to unfold in Doomsday and beyond with the new Avengers, which I think are probably going to be centered around
Yelena.
Yes, her little sister. I couldn't remember her name. I was like
Black Widow's
sister. I think that's probably story bread and butter to get to the meat and potatoes that will come. I feel, and maybe they're on there. But my question is, truly, why could Jean Grey not get into Peter Parker's head unless he let her in? Why was he the one mutant that she couldn't break the barrier into, that he was able to push back on throughout this film? Is that accurate to the comics, and somehow have those two ever intertwined in a comic book? Or do you know if there's a power that Peter Parker has and doesn't know about yet that would prevent Jean goddamn Grey from getting?
That's going to get explored. That what's going to end up happening is you're going to find out that Peter's mutating.
Yeah,
and they're going to get into different storylines where Peter is actually mute, and they showed a lot of that in the movie, but they never really fleshed out in this film.
Yeah, I felt like they danced around it with the several Peter Parkers in the last movie when Tobey Maguire came in and like, wait, yours are organic, and like you're kind of going, okay, they're making overtures to him changing a little bit, which we're seeing more played out in this film. But yeah, I was curious, like, is there a mental aspect to this that Jean Grey couldn't figure out? Like,
it has something to do with his spidey sense.
Yeah.
So the ability for him to he gets like a spider, like the spidey sense is him getting a precognition of what's about to happen, and being able to react to it beforehand, which is why he has like that ability to slow, like it looks like he's slowing down time. That's all spidey sense. He will be able to recognize a threat before it happens and be able to get out of the way.
That we explored pretty deeply with the Tobey Maguire one, like totally understood. But I just was curious, like, is that really real and truly the only reason that's preventing a Jean Grey from entering his mind at this stage, and what you believe their abilities are?
They didn't explain it, and it's not canonical as far as the comic book goes. Gotcha. So, I don't think it's ever been explored in comics, at least to my knowledge, but I could have missed an arc in the last 10 years, that I haven't been reading comic books. So it might be something that they've kind of added to his lore that I don't really know. But as far as what I know of him and his interactions with telepaths in the comics in the past, it's never been a thing. So, but who knows? Yeah. It could be something that that they are exploring with this mutation, which is what I assumed. But outside of that, so how many megs did you give?
We're going 8 megs on this one. I still would prefer a straight villain. Like, there's the guy I don't like from scene 1 or 2. So this one, it took a while to get around to, this is about fighting with yourself more, and then we get to the Jean Grey parts and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, kind of got there, but I was like, boy, the power level of the villain is not consistent with the hero story we're on right now in both cases in the same film, in my opinion. But I get it with Jean being, they're showing she's a bit limited at this stage in her life, but I was like, really? It's still Jean Grey. And like, when she emotionally lets loose and doesn't know what she's doing without the training and tutelage, like she can still cause some unbelievable havoc to, especially somebody like Frank Castle or Peter Parker. So I'm by no means an expert, but I kind of was like, boy, that feels like we picked the wrong villain for this. She wasn't a villain, you know what I mean? But it's like antagonist, I guess, was the wrong one. But I still enjoyed the film. I thought it was really good. So
cool. Excellent. Yeah. What was the next one?
What else did I watch? I watched so much stuff because my dad was here last week.
You said you watched the Masters of the Universe film.
Yes, I did. Okay. This movie, it smiles and winks at itself so much that I loved every minute of it. Where like even the opening exposition of like, well, this would be the heart of the heart of the heart and the sword of power. Yeah, they went with that. Like the raw amount of innuendo that was written into scene after scene after scene. Like I didn't even have to like or understand the universe, and I like the universe, but I don't understand it because it predates me a little bit. I was the Ninja Turtles era that was right after the He-Man era. This was like directly in your line of sight when you were growing up as like the cool heroes and action figures and stuff. Just post the Star Wars craze, which is still popular with everybody.
Its main popularity was 83 to 86.
Yeah, none.
And so I think
of the characters belong in the same universe together, and it's exactly comically accurate to the stuff that I've seen. Where it's like, oh, but you do have dragons and lasers at the same time, and
yes,
you also have Jaws somehow from as a Bond villain with a hook for a hand and. Okay, is he a pirate? Sure, he's in there too. Who knows? A battle cat? Why not? Throw it in there. He's green. He talks. It's great. What else? High fantasy sorceress. Let's put her in there, and we get Marina Baccarin for that. And she kind of felt like this will be a fun paycheck. I think the gal that was the right hand to Skeletor in this movie,
Alison Brie as Evelyn.
I think she was having the most fun of any actor on that set. Like just being completely overtly, this is absolute bananas. This is banana sandwiches, and I'm doing it. I'm going in. I thought she was killing it in that and probably having a great time. I love Skeletor because they took it in a direction where the theatrics that he did where not everyone's laughing at his jokes and he's annoyed by it and stuff. The cinematography was great, that like the special effects and the settings and stuff. The girl that was in Camilla, whatever her name, Mendez maybe, that she starred in that Archie show that they did that was called Riverdale, I think. She's Veronica in that. Yeah. It was cool to see her actually on the silver screen because I watched a few of those episodes thinking, what a cool take on Archie comics. Like this is kind of a gritty, oh God, it's a tween show, isn't it? And then like you're 20 minutes in, you're like, yes, this is a tween show. Damn it. And then I kind of lost interest because I'm not interested in the heartthrob of the 20 somethings. But super cool cast, tons of fun, innuendos all night. Like it was super funny, and it really made fun of itself in a tremendous amount of ways. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. For a suspension of disbelief in entering a universe that makes no damn sense and just watching a lot of stuff happen on screen that was fun to watch. It's a 9 all day for like, I'm not thinking about this film during the day. I'm not losing sleep at night. It was there for no reason at all. And I loved every second of it. It was incredible. The movie was so much fun.
I'm glad you loved it because I did too. And I got a second, started thinking about it later on. And what I came to the conclusion of is color palette wise, tonally, what it was trying to accomplish as far as taking an IP and putting it to the silver screen in a digestible way. It was everything that the Fallout movie should have been and wasn't.
The Fallout movie.
Remember, not Fallout movie. I'm sorry. What was the one that you and I saw in the theater? Not the Fallout movie.
Yeah, that was forgettable, wasn't it? Totally miscast as well. It was based on a video game.
The other video game.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't think of it's in my head, but yeah, you're right. That's a great parallel. Like,
yeah,
that's an awesome parallel.
Oh man, now I got to find this movie now because it's what. And
the gal that was in it that was like a little too old to play the part, in my opinion.
Yeah, Caitlin Blanchett or whatever.
Yeah, Cate Blanchett. I'm gonna Google Cate Blanchett movies. Blanchett movies. Sorry, I know it's bad form to have downtime in a podcast, but we're not necessarily prepared. Borderlands. Because I saw her a year later in Black Bag, and that was actually kind of a slick film overall.
Yeah.
Borderlands was rough, dude. But great parallel.
It was so bad, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But like it had the same kind of aesthetic, like kind of bright, running you through a series of things. It's just this one knew what it was doing and knew what world it was in, where that movie Borderlands it's like it was written by people who had never played the game, never seen, didn't know the characters, and then like cut and paste dialogue onto scenes that it didn't make sense. It was awful, but this one was so much fun that like I can't stop putting it on in the background. Yeah. And it's got such a heavy rewatchability for me. And so
question, you may know the answer to this. I don't know if you're as steeped in the He-Man lore as you are in the X-Men universe, but the AI on the spaceship that she operates, does it actually talk back and say stuff like that in the cartoon or the comics or whatever, where she's like, where it's like folding space and getting weird? Or was that just something that they threw in from the writer's room? Because that was great. I was like, I hope that's Alan Tudyk's voice, because he deserves to be a sassy spaceship AI in some respect. And that's something you would probably do. But like, even the little details to that level, I was like, oh, that's great. I laughed so hard where folding space and getting weird. Like, the little pieces like that. Run diagnostics. Diagnostics complete. My hull is breached. You're like,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. And I don't know if those two are supposed to have a romantic future or not. I also have no idea who they alluded to in the post-credit scene at the end. The female version of him is what it seems like with her own power sword.
That's actually She-Ra.
It's supposed to be She-Ra. Is that his sister, love interest, something like that?
Sister.
Got it.
So they actually, when He-Man stopped, the last season that it was going, I think in 85 or 86, is the same year that She-Ra picked up, and they stopped, and then She-Ra went on for 3 or 4 seasons, and it created a whole new villains cast.
Yeah, with
Hordak instead of Skeletor, and then a whole bunch of basically monsters with basic names, and then She-Ra was the main protagonist. Yeah, and they would do crossovers from time to time, but it was their girl version of He-Man. They were trying to get a female audience, right? And it became as popular as He-Man. So, and
they did not have Lucy Lawless and Xena Warrior Princess at the time. So this is what started that genesis of movement.
Basically, yeah. And so, She-Ra had to walk before Xena could run. There you go. Kind of scenario. Yeah. But they even, in one of the post-credit scenes, you got to see Orko too, which was a major component of the TV show. The little floating ghost guy with the hat, and the scarf and stuff. And I think that it did not do well in the box office, but it's doing huge on replay. So we may be able to get a sequel out of it. Yeah. Hopefully, because I would love to see a sequel out of this. So, but we'll see.
I typically don't like this content, but this week I've been watching off and on a lot of people that have YouTube channels that expressly review movies in little snippets so they don't get copyright infringement. And there's a bunch of like deep nerdcore guys that are really funny. And like, I watched them do Deadpool and Wolverine, like the Reels guys or whatever. And like, they actually cried when they saw like Blade appear on screen in the cameo and like all the different, so like they're deep in it, and they were loving every minute of He-Man as well, or Masters of the Universe and stuff. But I did not connect the dots on any of their, oh my God, references, because it just wasn't a IP that like resonated with me ever. But for a standalone, wow, that was hilarious and fun. And I could tell they were really winking at themselves, and the amount of innuendos, it was super funny. Like, I thought it was great.
Yeah. Good movie. So, all right. Well, I think that leads us into our Overlord tip of the week.
Let's do it.
All right. So we are at Overlord tip number 32. And this one is a fairly simple tip. Because oftentimes we act out of emotion as overlords. And if you're going to be an overlord, you need to learn some emotional intelligence, because if you don't, you will find yourself in compromising situations that you don't know or have access to get out of. So number 32 is, I will not fly off into a rage and kill a messenger who brings me bad news just to illustrate how evil I really am.
Yeah.
Because good messengers are hard to come by.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
If you eliminate all your messengers, how are you going to get your message out? So it's not his fault. It's not, and you're not going to prove to anybody within your ranks that you're a benevolent overlord. You're not going to earn any respect or trust, because if they tell you the truth, you just go into a rage and kill them. It is wiser to let them live and then go, I don't know, go behind a wall, go into another room and kill a puppy or something like that. Like, if you got to get it out, get it out. But don't kill the messenger, because good messengers are hard to come by, and you need to build the trust with those messengers. So I would say that don't allow your emotions to overtake you.
Yeah.
And be a little wiser with your messengers.
I love it. Great advice for future aspiring evil overlords. I love it.
That's correct. So,
well, cool. Anything to promote, plug, or otherwise before we call it?
No, not at the moment. Just kind of cruising along with life. I don't know if I have any. I don't think I have any travel plans in the future, but at some point, if I do, I'll let people know. But
I do.
Meantime, I'm just,
I'll be going to your neck of the woods here pretty soon. So
that is correct.
We may postpone the pod for a very important wedding. So
that is correct. And after we go off air, I'll let you know what table you're at.
Okay, great.
Because the table settings have all been kind of arranged, so I'll let you know where you're going to be, who you'll be sitting with. So
nice. I will be wearing a Batman suit. So
I figured as much.
Yep. Well, cool. I guess that's it then this week for Lucky I'm Angel.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good